to a brand new live edition of the Extra Point Show. Your boy, Mr. P.L. Colter, coming to you live and direct. Glad to have you on board with me today. We're going to talk about a couple of crazy stories in the news that I wanted to send your way. We're also going to talk about my beloved hometown Tennessee Titans and why I am nervous as hell about what's going to happen with them this year. Even as I'm decked out in my Titans gear, yes, I am very, very nervous about what's going on and what's going down with my Tennessee Titans. And we'll get to that in just a moment. But first, um, have you ever heard of a bean dip bath? To my Mexican food lovers out there, have you ever heard of a bean dip bath? Yes, like the bean dip that you get at the restaurant, or you eat at home while you're watching the game. A bean dip bath. Well, in this nice suburban area of Los Angeles, a stuntman soaks in bean dip for 24 hours to save his favorite restaurant. Now, check this out. Now, this is according to an article posted on Reuters by Rolo Ross. He says, when your favorite Mexican restaurant is struggling to stay alive, what else would you do but sit in a pool of bean dip outside for 24 hours to attract diners? To drive the point home, stuntman Hunter Ray Barker is wearing a t-shirt and mask with the Los Toros restaurant logo, which features three bulls getting his arm tattooed with the image during the marathon. Now, according to Mr. Barker, he says, we have a golden opportunity to grab the bull by the horns and support local businesses in a big and explosive way. So why not? And this is a guy, Mr. Barker, who has apparently visited the restaurant for family celebrations all his life while growing up. So they got a picture of this guy sitting in a tub of bean dip, and later on in the article, it asked the guy, so what do you do when you have to go to the bathroom? You know, logical question. You're going to be sitting in some bean dip outside in a tub for 24 hours. What do you do when you have to go to the bathroom? Well, first off, the guy said he has like this funnel hooked up to a bag, kind of like, I guess, like a colostomy bag, I was supposed, where he can do number one through this funnel into this bag. Now, when it comes to doing number two, now let's keep in mind he is sitting in bean dip, by the way. He said when it comes to doing number two, he has not made a plan. I guess we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Now, I applaud Mr. Baker for doing what he's doing. I'm sorry, Mr. Barker, for doing what he's doing to save a local establishment that has meant a lot to him and his family over the years. I applaud that. Him trying to help out his community and help out a small business owner, especially during the COVID times. I get that. I respect that. But my question is, will that make you want to dine there? If you're driving down the street and you see a big long dude laying in a tub of bean dip, will that entice you and your family, you and your spouse, you and your loved one, you and your friend, whoever, to pull in and order some dinner? I liken it here in Texas to Cane's sauce. You know, that Cane sauce be on bang. That Cane sauce is delicious. Now, if I'm just driving down the street and I see someone sitting in a tub of cane sauce right down the curb, will that in itself entice me to pull on into the drive-thru and order me one of those Cane's meals with the coleslaw and the Texas toast? I don't know. I don't know if that'll do it. I get it. The symbolic gesture is awesome on behalf of this guy. I applaud him for doing that. But for me personally, nah, seeing you laying in a tub of bean dip ain't gonna make me want to go in there and order no food. It might ask me. It might make me ask. The more obvious question is, if this guy's struggling to keep business, why are you using up all the bean dip? You and I wish I could post a picture of it on this live. You can go and Google it and find it pretty easily. How much bean dip do you think it cost that owner to fill this grown man in a swimming pool sized tub full of bean dip to the point to where it like comes up to here and he's fully submerged. I'm looking at the P&Ls. I'm looking at my red line like, that's enough bean juice, bro. Y'all better pour some water in there and stir. Y'all better pour some water in there and stir that bean dip, using up all my bean dip. And then when the customers come in, they ain't gonna have no bean dip. And also, it might do that company good. It might do them well if they show them publicly disposing of that bean dip. So there's no accusations of reusal, which, of course, would be disgusting and criminally negligent. But I digress. Speaking of criminally negligent, on to a more serious matter. There's a gentleman out there in California, keeping with the California theme, that really needs to catch these hands. They really need to catch these hands. Now, this guy's name is William Wallace. Now, Mr. Wallace is accused of killing his wife and then propping her up on the sofa like she was alive so their children can open Christmas presents like it wasn't nothing wrong. I am not making this up. You can't make this kind of stuff up. So I'm on Yahoo News, a story by Griami Massey. Now check this out. Now again, you're in this country, you're innocent until proven guilty. So we're gonna use the word alleged. An alleged killer propped his wife's dead body on the couch for her children opening Christmas presents, according to court documents. William Wallace is accused of killing Zazelle Preston on Christmas Eve 2011 before putting her in the living room the next day with sunglasses on and telling their 3 children that Mama ruined Christmas. Wow. That Mama ruined Christmas. Let that sink in for a second. So this man allegedly killed the mother of his 3 children on Christmas Eve, propped her up on the couch the next day with some sunglasses on, like Weekend at Bernie's, and told the kids that Mama's ruining Christmas because she got drunk at a Christmas Eve party, and she's incapacitated. This really happened. Now, according to court documents provided in this article, they said that the couple had gone to a Christmas Eve party, had come home, and several neighbors in the apartment complex heard shouting and loud noises and banging around going on in the apartment. Another witness said that they saw him removing the body from the apartment, which the police investigation said that actually the lady ran out of the house. He drug her back into the house and I guess allegedly committing this crime. So not only did you kill your mate on Christmas Eve, not only did you kill the mother of your children on Christmas Eve, you killed her, left her dead corpse in the bedroom while the kids were sleeping waiting on Santa Claus, drag her out to the couch Christmas morning, slap some Ray-Bans on her head, and tell the kids that Mama ruined Christmas because she's drunk and incapacitated. My man, Mr. Wallace, you need to catch these hands. You need your ass whooped. There's no 2 ways about it, bro. You need a good old-fashioned ass whooping for that. Now, who else needs their ass whooped is the judicial system in California, because, as I said earlier, this crime happened on Christmas Eve 2011. This man has been in prison since Christmas Day 2011 while awaiting trial? That's 10 years. Like, what the hell? The man's been awaiting trial for 10 years. Now, like again, I don't know if he did it or if he didn't do it. It's alleged. It looks as if he did do it. But they'll give you time served, but 10 years? Sitting waiting on the trial? What happened to a speedy trial? My God, that is something. But Mr. Wallace, if you did in fact do as these court documents suggest you did on this Yahoo article I just read, then Mr. Wallace, you need to catch these hands. If you see this man in the streets out there, make sure y'all whoop his ass for your boy. just absolutely ridiculous. My thoughts and prayers go up to that lady's family and her kids. They can't even move on with their life with this trial hanging over their head for a decade. This kid's almost grown now. My goodness gracious. So the NFL season is pretty much underway right now. The Tennessee Titans have been making moves, making a lot of moves, and we're gonna go into some of them. But this is what I want to say to Titans fans right now, who are still riding the high of the last 2 years, making it to all the way to the AFC Championship game 2 years ago, having a 10-point lead in the third quarter over Kansas City before ultimately getting eliminated in the second half, and then following that up with one of their best regular seasons in decades, going 11-5, winning the AFC South title for the first time since 2008. Also doing so while having a 2,000-yard rusher on the team for the second time in franchise history in Derrick Henry. Lots to be excited about if you're a Tennessee Titans fan, but hear me and hear me good when I say this. Do not let that distract you from the fact that the Tennessee Titans have had a deplorable offseason last year, and this year I'm starting to see little pockets of smoldering smoke, and you know where there's smoke, there's fire. Yes, the team has been successful under General Manager John Robinson. Hadn't had a losing season since he came on board in 2016, but let's not forget or be so easily hasty to throw away the disastrous offseason that happened last year. In fact, I'm about to make a case that the Tennessee Titans won in spite of John Robinson's moves last year. And that's a credit to the players who stepped in and did a phenomenal job. Now, first big mistake from last year, signing Vic Beasley to a $9 million deal last year. Now, you didn't even have to be a Titans fan or a Falcons fan to know that Vic Beasley had run-ins with his teammates, run-ins with his coaches, had what people described as a terrible work ethic and a lack of passion for the sport of football. How in the world on God's green earth can you play a violent sport like football without a passion for it? You're either going to get yourself or somebody else around you killed. You're going to get them broke up and knocked out the league. So we go ahead because we were thirsty for an edge rusher. Pass rushers seem to have been a problem for the Tennessee Titans for the last few years. So they spent a one-year flyer on Vic Beasley. He shows up to Tennessee and he's the same old Vic Beasley. First of all, he didn't even show up to Tennessee. He kind of waited until the training camp started. He was like a no-show. The first 3 or 4 weeks after he got signed, people wondered where the hell he was. He was in Atlanta somewhere. He wasn't even in Nashville working out with the team pre-COVID. That was an absolute disaster. He wound up getting cut before the season was over. Last year, they signed Jadeveon Clowney to a $12 million deal. A one-year, $12 million deal after they get rid of one of the franchise's most productive players in Jarrell Casey to try to bolster, again, the pass rush. You got absolutely nothing out of Clowney. Nothing. No sacks. He wasn't stopping the run particularly well. The Titans had one of the worst defenses in the entire NFL last year, and Jadeveon Clowney, like Vic Beasley, did not even finish the season. Not so much for performance in the case of Clowney, because Tennessee had no options. They had to put him out there. He just wasn't productive. He got hurt again. As in this has happened before. So he took that $12 million and ran with it, and just stole that money, basically, from the Tennessee Titans. But the Titans weren't outdone. They saved their best for the draft. Now, they whiffed on those free agent pickups, whiffed horribly on those free agent pickups. Oh, but wait until the draft. They had another one cooking for the draft. They took Isaiah Wilson, a right tackle out of Georgia, with the 29th overall pick in last year's NFL draft. First round pick. You know how many snaps that man played last year? 4. 4 snaps. Not games. Snaps. How many plays did he play in an entire 16-game season plus a playoff game? 4 snaps. 3 special teams and 1 kneel down. And then on special team on the special teams when he was getting bulldozed and knocked all around in those as well. Isaiah Wilson was a head case from the second he set foot in Nashville. He was first when he got here. He got busted at a COVID party at Tennessee State University's campus, where he actually contemplated jumping off the second floor window out there, hanging off the damn balcony. You say, do what? What? Okay, that wasn't it. If that wasn't enough, he got caught in the COVID protocol again and had to miss time for not sticking to the league's protocol. So that was a second stint of missed time. He also got a DUI where he was doing donuts in the street in his brand new car. Um, just couldn't get on the field. Just had a horrible attitude. Shouts out to my sister Stephanie Colter checking in. She can vouch for all of this going on with Isaiah Wilson. So Isaiah Wilson, the last we saw of Isaiah Wilson, he was in Miami on a boat with some strippers. Not in Nashville working out with his teammates. Not in not in his hometown, working out or trying to get better or trying to get back into the good graces of the organization. But this isn't on Isaiah Wilson. This is on the Tennessee Titans scouting department once again failing to dig into the character issues. So that's Vic Beasley, who didn't want to play football. You signed him to $9 million 1 year. Gone. Money down the tube. The 29th overall pick, you wind up having to trade your first round pick from last year to the Miami Dolphins for a seventh round pick. Are you understanding what I'm saying? We had to trade. The Tennessee Titans, had to trade our first round pick from last year, who is not injured. Not injured. He's healthy. We had to trade him to the Miami Dolphins for a seventh round pick. And not only that, we had to give up a seventh round pick to throw in with Isaiah for them to take him. That's just bad business. That's just bad business. You go out and buy an item for $2,000 and you go sell it for 20. Now you tell me who's Boo Boo the fool and who's the bad businessman. That right there tells you all you need to know about how bad the Tennessee Titans were in the offseason last year. And not just last year. You go back the year before that, Rashad Evans, he hadn't been doing much as a first round pick. Hadn't done much at all. Corey Davis, we're going to get to him in just a second. You draft him and Adoree Jackson with two first round picks, and neither one of them have had an all pro season or even reached the Pro Bowl. Corey had his best season last year, but I'm always leery of people who have their best year in a contract year. I mean, of course, if you own two strikes, then the third strike you go to the pen for 25 years, you might be on your best behavior then. I'm not so sure you're rehabilitated. You just may be a shrewd businessman. So the Titans have been making all kind of mistakes. Derrick Henry out there covering from all of them. The man needs a raise if you want to keep it real. Derrick Henry's 2,000-yard performance was a great aerosol spray over bad defense and bad offseason moves for the Tennessee Titans. I just got to keep it real. And now we come into this season to where some of those bad moves are starting to show their light because the Tennessee Titans have kicked the can down the road long enough with some of these high-priced contracts, and now you're starting to have to let go of some of your best players. Case in point, the franchise tag deadline was Tuesday at 3 o'clock Central Time, Texas time, Tennessee time. The Titans didn't have enough money to tag anybody. They couldn't tag Corey Davis. They couldn't tag tight end Jonnu Smith. They couldn't tag their up-and-coming middle linebacker, Jayon Brown, who was an upgrade over the first-round pick that they're actually paying now. And all of those guys are going to hit the open market and command more than what the Titans can pay for them. So they're gone. Two of the big cogs on offense, an offense that had averaged 30 points a game last year, one of the best offenses in the history of the franchise. You lose two key figures off that offense because the people that you bringing in ain't getting the job done. And some of these contracts on defense that were bloated, they were sorry, so you're going to have to replace those people, and you don't have the money or the cap space to bring in comparable talent. I'm getting nervous about this as a Tennessee Titan. We've already seen Adam Humphries released. Now his release saved the Titans $4 million. Okay, I'm okay with that. He was injury prone, and if you have Corey Davis and if you have AJ Brown, who's going to be a superstar in this league, you should be okay there. All right, I wasn't mad at that. That's okay. Malcolm Butler was just released earlier this week, um, and he was set to make $14 million for the Titans this year. He got released. It's going to save the Titans $10 million. So it was a move that they had to make. But if you watch those Tennessee Titans games last year, he was one of the few alpha dogs on the whole unit. He was the only one playing physical. He led he was tied with the league with the lead in interceptions with four, and he had a career high of 14 pass breakups, which also led the team. He was routinely placed on the opposing team's number one receiver, and by and large, he held up well against those receivers. He played physical. He had over 100 tackles. It's a veteran presence and a locker room leader that you hate to lose. But if you don't have the money, you can't pay that man $14 million on a defense that finished 30 something in the league. You just can't do it. So, and you need the cap space because we do have a draft class coming in and free agency starting next week. So we lose him. We also lose a physical tough safety in Kenny Vaccaro. He got cut yesterday. It's going to save $3 million against the cap. So as it stands right now, Tennessee, who had one of the worst pass defenses in the league last year, are going to be without Jayon Brown. They're going to be without Kenny Vaccaro, and they're going to be without Malcolm Butler. Three of the players that actually played well in spite of the team around them not being very good on that side of the ball. So what that means is, if you're a Titans fan, that you're banking on Christian Fulton and Adoree Jackson being your starting cornerbacks this year. Y'all, Christian Fulton and Adoree Jackson combined to play 9 games last year total. Between the two of them, 9 games. They were out due to injury. So are you really ready to put the fate of the pass protection and the secondary in the hands of two basically unproven players still in the league? Y'all. Plus, Kevin Byard fell off a cliff last year. Now, I would feel more comfortable with this if Kevin Byard can return back to his all-pro level that he was at a couple of years ago. But he fell off a cliff last year. He didn't make any plays. He only had one interception, and that one was more like a relief interception than anything else. Now, Amani Hooper, he played well in spot duty when Vaccaro was out. So the Vaccaro doesn't sting me quite as bad as losing Malcolm Butler. And shouts out to Nicole Delaney. Shouts out to her. The Southern Girl Speaks. Make sure y'all check her out on Facebook Live. A very beautiful and talented and smart lady. You have to check her stuff out. Make sure you give her a follow on her Facebook page. Glad to see you in the building, Chi-Town in the house. But the Titans, man, they got me worried. You got 20 potential free agents that's going to hit the free agent market. They're going to be gone. You're going to lose Corey Davis because the wide receiver market is so dry right now that he can command good money on the market. More money than we could have paid him on the franchise tag, and more money than we could probably pay him on a lucrative new deal. Unless for some reason he just wants to take a hometown discount and come back to the Titans. But with A.J. Brown taking all of the shine now as the unquestioned number one receiver, I don't know if he'll be willing to do that. If I'm Corey Davis, I go see if I can get my money. So, back to you, John Robinson, and this defense. Michigan Mike had made a good point that the defensive players themselves took a beating last year because of the product on the field was just so deplorable, and they were the ones that we were seeing on tape. But this goes up to the top. This goes up to John Robinson and head coach Mike Vrabel deciding not to replace Dean Pease as defensive coordinator when they knew good and damn well when Vrabel was the defensive coordinator that in Houston they had the worst defense in the league. You see the correlation here? When right before he got hired with the Titans, he was a linebackers coach with Houston. Then he became the defensive coordinator. They were last in the league in yards allowed his final season. He comes to Tennessee. He brings on Dean Pease. Those Dean Pease years, the Titans are top 10 defense, top 12 defense. Then he just had to fix the offense. Dean Pease leaves for a year. we plummet back to the bottom of the barrel when it comes to defensive efficiency. You do the math. I mean, 1+1 can only equal 2 on the extra point, baby. It can only equal 2. So you got Mike Vrabel refusing to really to hand over the reins to what I would call a qualified defensive coordinator with skins on the wall, and it should also tell you something that Dean Pease elected to unretire and take a job with former offensive coordinator Arthur Smith, who's now the head coach in Atlanta. So he chose to go with Arthur Smith to Atlanta to a new situation rather than come back to Tennessee again and play in a system and with players he's familiar with. That tells me that he didn't have a great relationship with Mike Vrabel, or maybe Mike Vrabel and the general manager. So Tennessee, there's going to be a lot of veterans that hit the market next week, and next weekend is going to be a fast and furious free agency. A lot of one-year deals with the cap being so low this year. The cap is 182 million this year, down from 198 in years last year. So you can expect to see a lot of bargain basement one-year deals. Tennessee, you cannot have a repeat offseason from the 2020 season. You just can't. You can't whiff on 2 major free agent pickups tying up over $20 million. You can't whiff on your first round pick. Oh, Lord Jesus. You can't whiff on your first round pick. And you're going to need to catch some value and some quality late in the draft and late in free agency. You may not be able to go out and get the top-notch free agent receivers, which are pretty much off the market anyway. Allen Robinson, he's franchised with Chicago, and Mike Godwin is franchised with Tampa Bay. Kenny Galladay is the only one that's out there now. I believe Emmanuel Sanders is going to be a free agent on the free agent market. So, yeah, for what the money that they're going to be able to command, I don't know if you're going to be able to do that. You're going to have to get that scouting team together. Y'all going to have to find some hidden gems and to help pry this championship window open for at least another season. So it's going to be very interesting, and keep your eyes and ears open locally for your local beat writers if you're there in Nashville and you follow the Titans for up-to-date, updates on what's going on with the roster shakeup. Because believe you me, these notable names are just the beginning. I think the Titans have $17 million in cap space right now. They're going to need much more than that to retool on defense and replace a potential Corey Davis and a potential Jonnu Smith on offense. John Robinson, the honeymoon is over, bro. Now it's time for you to earn your money. Time for you to earn your money, bro. So make sure that you catch me tomorrow when I have my special guest, my man, Mr. Michigan Michael Hasso. We're going to be talking about the NCAA tournament. He's going to give you some tips on filling out your bracket. If this is your first time filling out an NCAA bracket, have no fear. Michigan Mike will be here. He will be here and live in the building to give us some advice on how to win your bracket. He'll also give you his thoughts on some of the teams that you should look out for, and maybe a dark horse or two. So looking forward to having him on. We'll be on the air right before Michigan tips off in the Big Ten tournament tomorrow at 10 o'clock a.m. So make sure you catch us right here at fbrn.us at 10 o'clock. We're going to talk some basketball. We're going to talk some Duke. And with Michigan Mike on board, of course, we're going to talk a little bit of Michigan. Until then, y'all have a blessed and prosperous and fantastic day. Go out there and live your dream. Love somebody today. Forgive somebody today. Do you, be great. It's your boy PL. I'll catch y'all tomorrow. Peace.